Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for joining the webinar series. My name is Rich, and I'm a Customer Success Manager here at ZeroLight. Before we get started, I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with live storms. I just want to talk through the format of how it's going to happen today. So we won't be I won't have time to respond to questions in today's session. We have about 30 minutes. But if you do have any questions at all, down at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you should see a questions icon. So if you have any questions at any point, my colleagues are on hand. They can answer questions in there. If there's nothing that we can respond to at the time, we'll happily follow up via email afterwards. And about halfway through the session as well, we're gonna take a poll. We're gonna ask a question. It'll be quite self-explanatory. It will appear on your screen, but you can vote that way. And then if you want to see the results of the poll, again, just next to the questions icon, bottom right-hand corner, you can click on that there to see. Okay, great. Okay. So we'll get started. As I mentioned, my name is Rich. I'm a Customer Success Manager here at ZeroLight. For those of you who might be new to ZeroLight, we are a cloud-based visualization specialist, and we're based in the United Kingdom. And historically, we work predominantly with the automotive sector. And we have provided VR solutions, AR solutions, cloud-based configurators, content production platforms for multiple OEMs. And we work very much in the world of digital twins. So we build digital twins, we take OEMs of a digital twins and put them in virtual environments, essentially. And I guess that everybody here today, I guess you guys are all still hungry for content, which is nice to see. So obviously this webinar series is Hungry for Content. This is the second one. Last month, so webinar one was an introduction to our content production platform, Spotlight Suite. And it was kind of looking at how you can use the UI to determine a certain look and feel. And then today's webinar is looking at how you can now use the platform to automate personalized content using an API. So the things that we're going to cover today and what that looks like essentially is we'll have a look at what types of content are available on the platform. So if you subscribe to this platform, what can you create with it? So we'll have a little recap on webinar one. We'll show you what we did there. We'll also look at why and where it's important to personalize content at scale, and it's not just taking my word for it, but basically why it can have a very positive effect on your revenue, on your costs as well. It can reduce your costs. It can improve your customer experience greatly, but also it's very much a customer expectation. It's what we're seeing from our day-to-day, but also from external studies. We can see that customers are starting to expect a personalized experience, and this tool can really help you deliver that. So we'll look at that in more detail. And then finally, at the end, what we're going to look at is how you can automate this. How does the system work? So we're actually going to show you a peek behind the curtain, how the platform can speak to your platform or another platform. So in section 3, we're essentially going to look at robots talking, which is always interesting to see. So just to recap, and for those of you who might not be familiar, I know we've got some current customers on the call, but there are also some people who are new to ZeroLight. So the product we're looking at today is Spotlight Suite. It's one of our core products here at ZeroLight. And essentially, it's a cloud-based production platform. But what does that mean? That means that when an OEM subscribes to Spotlight, all of their assets, so their digital twins, their models, their vehicles, whatever you want to call them, are hosted in the cloud. Okay, so it's great in terms of scalability and security. Um, and basically, users have the option to either use the UI. So if you look at this image here, the bottom left-hand corner where we can see that that white ID7, that's what the platform looks like when you log in via the UI. You have options where you can move a camera and create an image or create a video. But also you have access to an API. So once you've created a stylized look that you like and you want to ramp that up at scale, you can harness the platform's API to do this at scale and to do it automatically. So last month, so in session number 1, we focused exclusively on using the UI. We showed you how you can use different apps. So along the top bar here, we can see icons. There are different types of apps to create different types of content. So you can use the Shutter Pro app to create images. You can use the video app to create video, funnily enough. And what we looked at was how that works. What does that mean? So basically, because Spotlight is hosted in the cloud, it means that customers don't have to download any software. You're not tied to a certain piece of hardware. All of your assets are in the cloud. You can log on from anywhere in the world, essentially, as a lot of our customers do. So you log in through a browser. It's password protected. It has MFA, so multi-factor authentication, so all of the assets are secure. And then basically a user chooses an application that they want to use. They choose a vehicle, and then depending on the app, they will move a camera around. They can use post-processing effects. They can affect the lighting. They can affect multiple things. They can generate images and videos, but then they can also save that look. So if they have a certain look that they have created, certain style, certain lighting effect that they like that they want to use over other campaigns, that could be saved, and that can then be shared with other people in your team. But it could then in future be requested via the API, which we'll talk about in a moment. So what we're going to do now is we'll just recap on some of the apps that we visited in webinar one. So we did a demonstration of the Shutter app. So the Shutter app is the app that you use to create still images. I Here at ZeroLight, I work mainly on the Volkswagen account. So a lot of the imagery that you'll see here uses Volkswagen as an example. But essentially what's happened here is someone will have logged in, given their password, logged into this platform, chosen the ID7, and then they're going to create an image. So we're just going to have a recap now if we have a look at this. This is exactly the speed that I did it all at. Only joking. This has been sped up, obviously, but hopefully it shows you we select the car, we can put it in different environments. You have full control over the camera. There's multiple camera options. You can zoom in, you can add render effects, you can add ray tracing. And basically what we were doing in this demonstration was creating a look that we were quite happy with to use maybe as a hero shot on a website. We then uploaded multiple configurations, so you could do the same shot for all the configurations available in a model line, essentially. And then if I was happy with that look, I can save it and come back to it in future. I don't have to repeat all of the steps that I did there. Another application we looked at was the Take app. So again, this is an application that's available to all users subscribed, but this allows you to create video sequences. So it very much allows the user to be the director. It gives them full control over the camera, and they can build up a camera movement or a video sequence essentially. Once that's done, it's again saved as a sequence, and it can be called upon via the API, or it can be shared with other users in your team. So we'll just have a look at what that looked like as well. So I'd selected the model, and then down here, if you look along the bottom, I'm kind of setting up new keyframes as I'm building this sequence. So I'm kind of adding different cameras, I'm putting the car in a different environment, I'm adding some effects. And in webinar one, that took about 3 minutes to create, and the end result was something that looks like this. So this is a sequence that I created and that I've saved and I can use time and time again. And I think the example here, the use case was this could be used in dealership. It could be playing on screens in a dealership. Media, it could be used for website content. And then finally, the final app that we looked at was the AR model app. So very simple app this, but what the work that it does is far from simple. So it takes a master model and it creates a 3D model that's able to be shared on social media. That it can be used in dealership, it can be used in events, it can be used in various points in your customer journey, it can be used by your CRM team. And within the application, again, there are many options where you can control the quality or the appearance or the file size of the rendered model, depending on the use case. But really, this application does pretty much all of the work for you, and it does a lot of work that until kind of earlier this year would have taken a team of artists perhaps 4 or 5 days to produce this kind of model. And this app can render a model out in just a few moments, just a few minutes based on the settings. So if we have a look at the demonstration here, very simple though. I'd loaded the model. I have some elements within the UI where I can affect the quality and add different render effects. I can change the file type. And then once I've downloaded it, it can be shared on different platforms, but essentially this is what that looks like. And the benefits of this is it's quite fun. It's quite fun for your customers. It can delight and surprise them, but it also means that they can literally play with the model. If they're still deciding whether to make a purchase, they can be given this model to actually drive at home or in their garden or on their drive, and they can share it with their friends. So yeah, it's there to kind of delight and surprise customers, really. So those were the types of content that are available, and that we looked at in detail last month. Here are some examples of the use cases where these can be employed. So I've already touched upon social media, website content. They can be used in digital brochures, which we'll look at in more detail in this session. Um, but yeah, that was the focus of last month's webinar. But this, for anyone coming to this new, these are the types of content that are available for you when using this platform. So yes, Spotlight Suite is the platform. You have different apps, and we looked at the UI in webinar one. For this webinar today, though, we're going to look at the API. What does that mean? It means that we're able to call all of those assets and more automatically. So when we're starting to look at personalization and automation at scale and really ramping this up and putting it automatically in different touch points in the customer journey, this is how we would do it. We would do it via the API. The UI is for like your marketing team and design team to create look and feel or maybe one-off projects. The API drives this at scale. And both of these options, the UI and the API, are available to anyone subscribing to Spotlight via ZeroLight. Before we go much further and start looking at the why and the where and the how, we would like to ask you a question. We would like to know how many of you on today's call are actually actively seeking to personalize your journey, your customer journey. So you should see the question now on your screen. If you could please submit a vote, that would be much appreciated. And if you want to follow the results of the vote, just down on the bottom right-hand corner, we can see the results there. I'll just give it a moment. Okay, so that's great to see. It's great to see that the majority are already considering this. It's not surprising to see that some people maybe not at this stage. That's fine. That's probably why you're here as well. So hopefully we do a good job of explaining the benefits of this. So why should you be doing this? Why should you be looking to personalize your customer journey at scale? So we'll have a look at a few external studies. You don't just have to take mine or ZeroLight's word for it. We will show you some facts and figures. But in a kind of high overview, by personalizing your customer journey, you can increase your revenue, you can save on your costs, you can provide a more enjoyable customer experience, and your customers are kind of expecting this, as we'll see. But finally, in kind of one headline, McKinsey, a study that McKinsey did, they're basically calling digital personalization at scale is the holy grail of marketing, apparently. So no pressure there then. Let's have a look at a few facts and figures then. So Salesforce recently did a study where they basically found that 88% of customers are saying that the experience a company provides or the customer journey they go through is important as its products. They are forming an opinion of your products or your services that you provide basically by the customer journey. So I think we all kind of understood that customer journey is very important, but hopefully these facts and figures will start to kind of show you scientifically what customers are actually thinking at the moment. Likewise, so Affinity said that 42%, so almost half of of consumers are dissatisfied in automotive when an automotive retailer does not personalize content. So this is what I was saying at the beginning. We're starting to see that customers are actually expecting this. It's almost becoming like an expectation. It's very soon it won't even be a question of it. People are expecting this within their customer journey. The increase in revenue that I touched upon as well, so 40%, this is from Adobe, of companies, so a 40% rise in revenue amongst those that did prioritize personalization amongst their customers. And then finally, this stat from Affinity, we're seeing a 202% increase in higher conversion rates around companies that prioritize personalized call to actions over just a kind of default vanilla call to action. So hopefully that shows you some of the benefits. Obviously, these are all external and publicly available studies, so please feel free to go and do your own research. But obviously, I've said the word personalization quite a few times now already. So what do I actually mean when I'm talking about personalization? I'm talking about customers' preferences. So when they're looking at your product at any stage in the customer journey or the sales funnel, whatever you want to refer to it as, what are the choices that they're looking at? What are the things that are interesting them? So in automotive, it could be the paint color, the rims that they're using, the interior. In clothing, obviously, the size, the color, all of that kind of stuff. The customer preferences, what they like. And how we make that work for a customer journey is by tying those preferences to each point within the customer journey, or as many points as possible. The more that you can tie that preference through the customer journey, the greater results we're seeing, because it's getting rid of that friction that a customer can experience when they have to go to multiple touch points where they're having to repeat themselves. It provides a smoother customer journey. So it's not going into a dealership saying, "I've looked on your website, I really liked the this trim, it was in blue, this rim." It's literally coming into dealership and handing over a code that says this is the vehicle that I'm interested in. Likewise, when they're exploring a vehicle, being able to look at the data behind that vehicle to increase an upsell. So how does all of that work? Like how do we move personalization? How do we track personalization? So in the world of the digital twin, which we very much work in, ZeroLight, every choice, every configuration on a model is basically represented by a code, a configuration code. That could be a SKU code, a stock keeping unit. It could be a PR string. It could be a marketing code. Different OEMs refer to them in different ways, but basically every choice is a different code, and we can pass that code between each customer touch point throughout the journey. And as I've said, the more of those that are connected, the greater the result. So if we go back to the customer journey or have a look at a customer journey, what we're saying is that there's not necessarily a right way or a wrong way or a certain place that you should be adding personalization. We're saying that the more places you can add personalization and have that connected customer journey, the better. Okay. And we're saying that the Spotlight Suite platform and its API can provide content, personalized content at scale through all of these touch points effectively. So we have these different areas, kind of discovery phase, through to consideration, through to actually making a purchase, through to the world of after sales. Personalization can affect all of these. What we're going to look at today, though, is we're going to look at some examples, some real world examples, and I'm going to look at personalized digital brochures and personalized AR models and see how they're being used and how that works. Before we do look at them, I want to explain a little bit about a digital brochure. So, as we've seen, the Spotlight platform can create imagery, it can create videos, you can create AR models, and we can send those individually to somebody. But we can also package them up and present them in a attractive format, and that's basically what a personalized digital brochure is. It's effectively, technically, it's a microsite, so it's a single web page. It's a URL that's delivered to the customer, and that we've agreed with whoever the OEM is on what that needs to look like, what the kind of content is, and everything in there is personalized to a customer's specification. So that's what a personalized digital brochure is. We'll see some examples, but just to give you an idea of technically what it is, it's basically a web page, and that can look and contain anything that we determine essentially. So we're going to look at some live use cases. So with Mitsubishi Motors of North America, we created a configuration experience for them, and we also created their digital brochure. So what you're going to see here is you're going to see a configuration experience for an OEM where someone can configure a vehicle in a 3D stream, and then you're going to see them clicking on a button at requesting a personalized digital brochure. We'll have a look at that now. Let's have a look at what the Mitsubishi configurator looks like. So model in a 3D stream. We also created this cinematic driving template where they can configure the vehicle in stream as well. So a customer is here interacting, choosing different paints. All of the options here are available to them. So they've also got rim choices, but also accessories as well. So in this case, I think we're going to go for some roof bars. That's great. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause this just here. So what we've also done with the Mitsubishi is we have added a button to the configurator here saying personalized brochure. So without the personalized brochure button, what this person may do is configure the vehicle, think that looks really cool, and then log off, close the browser. They may go and go to a dealership, or they may request a test drive, but they would probably just close the browser. Or they may close the browser. What happens here is with a personalized brochure is they can click this button, and then the platform here, the configurator, sends the configuration code to Spotlight Suite, and it starts to generate this microsite for them. So we request a personalized brochure, and that's what this is that you're seeing here. So here, what this is a personalized brochure. It's a microsite. It's a web page that has now been emailed out or sent to the customer, and it's personalized. It's got the customer's name on. And everything in here is to the personalization, or sorry, to the configuration of the vehicle they were looking at. So we've got that blue car. We've got the roof bars. We've got images, we have video here, we have interactive elements, so we can see the car in an urban environment and a rural environment. We've got text, we've got technical information as well, all of this great stuff, and all for the customer to still refer to. The customer doesn't leave the dealership or leave the configurator just thinking about the car. They can refer back to this. They can explore the interior here. So the platform also creates 360 panorama images, so they can totally scroll around and really explore the vehicle. And they can share it with their families and friends. They're thinking about making this purchase. It's a large purchase. They want to share it with their families and friends to better inform the buying decision. So that's what that is. Just there, an idea of what the digital brochure looks like for Mitsubishi. And in terms of what they're seeing is they're seeing an improved customer journey. That's the feedback we're getting. It's more compelling. It's more connected. The second example we're going to show you is with a configurator that we've had no involvement with. This is not a ZeroLight built configurator, just to highlight that we can provide our solutions kind of at any stage, and we don't have to build the entire journey. We can, but we can work with existing architecture and integrate at any point. So the example we're going to show here is Volkswagen. So multiple markets at Volkswagen are using digital brochures in a variety of different touch points. But the example we're going to show here is a example that's live with the UK market. So we're just going to have a look at this now. So what you're seeing here is the Volkswagen configurator, and we have no involvement with this. This is not a ZeroLight product at all, but we provide the digital brochure for many of their models. So we'll look at the ID4, we'll go to the GTX, we'll configure the vehicle. Personally, I quite like the red, so we'll go with the red. We'll change the rims, and this is live on the UK website now. When we move to summary, again, we're on the summary page here. You could book a test drive, you could request a quote, but you can also request an email of the configuration. That's a button that Volkswagen have added. And the purpose of this is lead capture and lead generation. So if I want my digital takeaway, I add my details here and I become a lead for their CRM team. So I add this in here. And then what I'm going to do is when I click submit, basically I've clicked submit. And what happens in the back end is the website is now requesting this content from Spotlight Suite. Okay, so the platform is getting a request, it's creating all of that content, and it's sending it back via email. So as a customer or someone who's interested in the red GTX, I've come to the website, made a configuration, I've filled out my details, I now receive an email. And lo and behold, that is the car that I configured. I've got images of the car that I configured. I can see the interior. I've got a lot of technical information in the email. And this email is created by their CRM team. Again, it's not a ZeroLight product. But what we do provide is the digital brochure. And this is what that looks like. So again, what you're seeing here is the digital brochure. It's a microsite. And it looks very different in kind of style, I guess, to the Mitsubishi version that we saw. But technically, it's exactly the same. It's a microsite that contains video content. It contains imagery. It's all been agreed with the OEM on how they want this to appear. It's saved and can be used time and time again across thousands of different configurations. We have interactive elements. This one's a little bit more lightweight than the Mitsubishi one in terms of the amount of content. But again, great features for a customer to interact with, to play around and really explore their vehicle. So yeah, so that was Volkswagen UK. As I did mention, it's live with multiple markets at Volkswagen, and they're using them in different touch points. So as we saw there, that's on the VW UK website, and they're seeing results from this almost immediately. They're saying that the digital brochures are their biggest lead generator in new cars, which is phenomenal, which is great feedback. It's great to hear. It's great to see that we're helping them in that respect. Whereas VW Sweden, they're using these actually in dealership. So they're not on the website at all. But if you go into a dealership in Sweden and you're interested in the ID3, for example, there's a configuration experience in store and you can request the brochure there. And the feedback at the moment is the dealers are loving them and they're seeing really positive effect over lead generation. So with with VW, lead generation, happy dealers, all good. Great to hear. The two examples I've showed you are microsites, so packages of content. What I want to show you finally is it doesn't always have to be packaged, it could be individual pieces of content. So in this demonstration, if we have a look at it now, we have a demonstration version of a VW configurator, what it could look like. So 3D stream, applying some different changes to the configuration. And then what we're doing here is we're going to generate a 3D model, which can be sent to the customer. Again, this could be on the website, but it could be in dealership. It could be via CRM. Your CRM team could be sending this out to people to play with. Okay, so with those three examples, I hope it gives you a better idea of what's possible, what's available, what's actually live with some customers currently, and that they're seeing better experiences, they're seeing more connected customer journeys by using this. Lead generation, it's a top lead generator tool, and we're seeing happy dealers, which is always nice to hear, and we're seeing satisfied customers as well. So hopefully now that gives you a better idea of why you may do this and where it may fit. Now we're going to look at how. Okay, so I did touch upon for automation scale, we need to harness the API of the platform. What does that even mean? So the API is the application programming interface, and it basically means an API means that one platform is able to speak to another. One robot speaks to another robot in their own beautiful language. And with this slide, what we're trying to convey is that platform, so it's Spotlight Suite, the content creation platform, can speak with kind of any other platform that the OEM decides within reason. But that could include your CRM, so it could be Salesforce, SAP, Oracle, HubSpot. It could be your website. It could be your configurator. It could be an app that your OEM has created, like an in-dealer app. But basically, what would happen is when you need content for a specific configuration, whether it's a vehicle or whether it's an accessory, your platform sends a message or sends a request to Spotlight. Spotlight receives that, starts generating the content that's being requested, and sends it back. Spotlight can also send messages to your platform about when the content is generated via a callback, or your system can poll Spotlight, which means it can ask it a question saying, is it ready yet? And when it is, you can then present it to a customer. What I'm going to show you now, just to finish off with, is how that actually looks behind the scenes. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is happening on a regular basis day to day, but people are not doing this, that no one's having to manually do this. This is the code that that one platform will say to another. So if we just have a look at this now, what you're seeing here is a script. Basically, it's a script of code, and all of the details are available on our website as well. But this is the request, okay? This is the request that comes from an OEM's platform. And we have a template for what that looks like. And essentially, depending on the piece of content you have, whether it's a microsite or an AR model, that's defined here in template in row 3. You're kind of saying, I want this collection of content. And the only thing that would then change is the configuration code. So here we're seeing a different config code, and that looks different across OEMs, but the concept is the same. And it's going to provide that microsite, but with that configuration. With this particular template, we've got lots of parameters, so you can edit text, you can do lots of things. But for one example here, we have a default text. It's a default title on this microsite where it says meet your ID4. And that can read things from the configuration code. It can read the trim. So if it's an ID4 GTX, it will change to meet your ID4 GTX. But that is the request. Okay, that is the message that a platform will send to Spotlight Suite saying, please give me this content and please give it to me for this configuration. What you see here at the bottom is a response from Spotlight. Once it receives that request, Spotlight answers saying, yes, I've received your request. This is your ID number. The order is pending. And this is the URL. As I mentioned, microsites are a website essentially. So you are returned a URL. What you're seeing here is then one platform asking another platform a question. It's saying, what is the status of my order? Is the microsite ready? Can I send it to the customer? And this is the response just down here. Spotlight has responded. So this is Spotlight's answer coming back here saying the status of this order is it's still processing. And we can keep asking that question. So we'll ask it again. And here now we can see it's been completed. So that's one way of doing it. So an OEM's platform can ask Spotlight, is the order complete? Or via a callback, Spotlight can just send your platform a message saying this order is now complete. Where do you want me to send it? And once the order is complete, finally, we're getting to the end now, we have this manifest here. So all of this code down here is all of the content that you have requested, plus a lot more information. So it's saying that the order is completed. It's telling you it's a microsite. It's telling you the timestamp when it was ordered and created. It's telling you the template that it was. Again, all of this is happening behind the scenes. You don't need to worry about this. Like, no one is doing this manually. This is two computers, two robots talking to each other. It's returned this URL, and basically this is the finished asset that we care about. Essentially, this is the microsite for the ID4 GTX. There we have the text that we had in the original request, all returned this way. Okay. So thank you. I realize we're running a little bit over, so I'll start to wrap this up now. But if anyone is interested or your developers are interested in learning more, all of this information is available on the ZeroLight website. All of this information and more, to be honest. So please feel free to check that out. So hopefully today what we've shown you is what content is available, how personalization can be implemented and why it's important. And in terms of where, we've given some examples, but as I've said time and time again, it can be anywhere. The more points that you can tie up with personalization, the better. And we've given you some examples of how it looks on configurators or in dealership, but really the tool, this platform, Spotlight Suite, can be used to create assets for any of these examples. What we hope to do today was not really tell you what you need to do, but kind of spark some ideas, plant some seeds on how you might use this for your own campaigns. So thank you very much for your time. Going to wrap up now. Once this finishes, you should receive a recording of this webinar. Please feel free to share it with members of your team if they're interested. And if you're interested and missed the first in the series or just want to watch it back, please, should have a message on your screen now, or you can scan this QR code, but that will show you the first in the series. And all that remains for me to say is thank you very much again for your time. If you want to find out any more details or you would like to have a trial of the product or learn more about it, please feel free to contact me. Please, if you've liked the session, please help us spread the word, share feedback on LinkedIn. If you have any ideas about elements you would like to know more about, perhaps that would be the base of a future webinar. For 2023, that is the last in the series, but we will be back in 2024 with more webinars for you all. But for now, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you again in 2024. Thank you.